Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Super Breakdown. Today we'll be looking at the OZ-00MS Tallgeese, also known as the Tallgeese 1. I think the Tallgeese 1 has one of my favorite designs in all of Gundam. I think it looks really cool, and I'm going to try and let that reverence for the design of the Tallgeese 1 not show in today's episode. Just want to get that off at the top here. Much like the Tallgeese 2, it has the homing on the charge. Unlike the Tallgeese 2, it does not have that crazy jump around mobility, but instead it has that stun that is very easy to hit with and recharges very quickly. It also has this amazing dash spin that allows you to fire off some really nice shots while you're doing it and dodge other shots, which is very nice. It also has this dash in here that allows you to cancel out of it. And as we've talked about before, when you have a button, relegated to a dash that allows you to cancel out of it, it gives you so many more options when it comes to melee. Just like that. Able to dodge his missiles by sidestepping to the left and getting in with a regular melee attack. Onto his melee, you have, well, he's going to make this difficult. You have the forward, the stinger, that is absolutely fine. Results in a pop-up. You have the actual, what would be a pop-up, but instead is this. It's a descent. It allows you to break off homing attacks that are right on top of you, as long as you do it fast enough, like that. And it also allows you to just drop to the ground, which is really nice. You also have the side dash here that comes in for a pretty decent, and then the basic melee string that we haven't got to show off here goes into a very nice cinematic combo. Show off the burst as well. Burst is a melee burst that goes into the spin. Looks really cool, is really quick to pull off, and does quite a bit of damage, so that's fun. Speaking of the spin, there are variations of it. The left and right. It does not have a back or forward variation, which is a little weird. It doesn't have, like the Vignagina does. I thought for sure it would. But I think for what it can do, I think it's worthwhile, even with just the left and right, because you can do things like this and get some really nice damage in. The striker is another stun, which is very useful because it means that at any time you have 1 to 4 stuns available, depending on your burst usage. I think the Tallgeese 1 is a lot of fun to play. It's not perfect, and there's a lot of things that I might have changed a little bit. I might have given this a little bit different style of attack for this right trigger dash in, but I like that it can be canceled out with just about any other attack. I would have probably gone for a different, as cool as the descent there is, I probably would have gone for a regular pop-up instead. But it is nice that since they took that away and gave the Tallgeese that, the stinger has a little bit of hyper armor and has the pop-up. I think it definitely, pays itself off in the long run. So the question then becomes, should you use the Tallgeese 1? Yes, I think it is worth using if you enjoy mid-range or if you enjoy some decent mobility. Again, I think the Tallgeese 2 has better mobility, but if you enjoy mid to short range and being able to just jump around and surprise your opponent, I think the Tallgeese 1 is very, very good at that. It's definitely not the best at that in the game. The Vignagina, the Burning Gundam, the Masala. There are a lot of other Gundams and mobile suits that are better at that game. But what it can do, I think, is pretty fun and very useful. And one thing we haven't really talked about is the basic... See if I can pull it off here. The basic movement with your boosting. You can actually do some pretty crazy tricks with it. You can do a left-right dash that you saw me do earlier. You can do a barrel roll, which is pretty crazy. It is designed to be able to get around and to give you options to escape, just like that. The main purpose of that is that it throws off tracking. That's why one of the reasons why I went up against the heavy arms is so I can show you that you can dodge some of the missiles that it fires by tricking its tracking using your various movement abilities. And as you saw there, being able to come down with the descent move, even though you could also do it with the right stick at any time, the descent move is faster, and it allows you to immediately combo into a different move. So it definitely has its uses, and I think that it deserves to be used a little bit more. for what it can do. That was unfortunate. Because what it can do is actually really cool. It just, I wish it had a couple other small differences done to it. Specifically, this, I wish that this was a little bit more fleshed out. However, what it can do with that is really cool. And being able to cancel out to just about any other attack is nice. Missed the stun there. We missed the stun there. But we hit with those, so it's fine. And then, of course, you can still do the block, even though you don't have a button tied to it like you do with the Tallgeese 2. Yeah, hitting me with his burst is unfortunate. That's the second time he's done it now. Physical projectiles broke on each other. Broke, exploded maybe is the better word, but, you know, it's fine. Oh, come on now. That should have... I timed that just right. That should have hit. But I think the heavy arms is probably the perfect matchup. The heavy arms are the buster for the Tallgeese, and if you decide to play the Tallgeese and you wind up against the heavy arms, just realize all the options that you have against it. Obviously, the Tallgeese has some other natural predators that are actually bad matches for it, but specifically anything that has a lot of stuns, so like the Virtue or the O. But I think the Tallgeese is great. You should definitely check it out. With all that said, though, I've been Trey. This has been the Full Spectrum. Remember to always enjoy the full spectrum Tallgeese has to offer.